Okay, so Adrian and the Castle is our new film from the Fantasia International Film Festival. It is directed by Shannon Walsh, who co-wrote the film with Laurel Sprengelmeyer. Ina Finchman produces, with Diana Roldan as associate producer. Richard Reed Parry handles the music, while Pablo Alvarez Mesa is on cinematography. Sophie Farkas Bowler edits the piece. Nalo Soyini Bruce is production design. And the film features, right, Alan St. George as himself. Nathan MacDonald plays a young Alan, and Sir Lee plays a young Adrian. Um, we also have some other people playing Adrian. That's Tasmin Glazer, Heather Huizenga, Amy Malcolm, Genevieve Fears, and Natalie Younger. The gist of this is a true story of love and loss. Adrianne and the Castle documents the unique life of the St. Georges, who built a castle to their love in rural Illinois. Now facing the future without the love of his life, Alan grapples with his grief through creative musical reenactments of their story, transporting him into the fantasy world they created together. Yeah, I really had no clue what this was, right? The holding image of the screener is it's like it looks very Victorian, right? Loads of people women holding like masks to their faces, and you're just like, huh, what what is this? This looks like it could be interesting. Now it wasn't a period piece, right? It's about this couple's life, and I mean I had no clue about it. So it's interesting when you get to pull back the curtain on something and really take that look, that deep dive in. And Shannon Walsh does a very good job of, I think, creating the ambience, what was the St. George's existence together. You know, it is evident that they loved each other. You know, they created this crazy existence. Like their home has 63 rooms, right? 63 rooms. I mean, that is kind of bonkers. It's kind of bonkers, right? The house is full of sculptures and murals and just art. There's a point towards the end where Alan's saying, you know, he's just finished a mural and he's just like, you know, there's still so much left to do. And it's kind of like, what though? Right? What what is left to do? It looks like there's no blank space. It looks like you have covered everything. So that was interesting, but it was also one of those things which I think highlighted some aspects that I felt, I wish there was more, right? Because, you know, to that question, with, you know, when Alan's like, oh, there's still plenty more to do, it would have been good for the, you know, the documentary crew to go, how much more? Like, what else is left? You know, just so we understand what he's doing. Like, there was a bit where he talks about going to Walmart for the first time after Adrian dies. And it is that question, like, why didn't you ever go? Like, he says there were people that went to the shops for us, went to the bank for us, did all of these things. Why though? Right? What, it seemed that Adrian didn't like to go out or like um Alan to go out, because he talks about one time when he was going to do a thing, right? Going to a convention for his work, and she was just like, I don't want you to go. But none of that was really explained. Like he said at the very beginning, right, that their families disowned them when they got married. But why? Right? There's certain questions, like, why would the families disown you? You know? Is she from money? Like, and they thought she married under her, sir? Like, what? I mean, what was it? Because it seems that Alan has a crazy successful, business. Um, he makes mascots. He makes mascots. He's done it for like some huge companies, sporting teams, just so many things. And you just think, I didn't even know that was a thing, right? Well, I mean, obviously, you think, the people getting the mascots from somewhere, but a company being able to just, exist solely from that, that seems kind of bonkers, right? But yeah, he was very successful at that. But why not go out, right? What are those things? So it would have been interesting to, delve under that hood, get that insight. We are watching the, the coming together of all of this work, right? So we have Alan, talking with Shannon and being like, I don't really think I want someone to play Adrian, right? To try and reenact who she is because she's one of a kind. I mean, everyone's one of a kind to themselves and their loved ones, but no one's really one of a kind. You know what I mean? But it is interesting seeing that process and then having him go, oh, actually, there's all these talented actresses, we could do that. So all of that fascinating. Seeing all of this art, and it's so much archival footage, right? She wrote journals every day, every year. So there's just so much stuff, right, that you can look at as a viewer. It would be interesting to know, right? Because she acted, he built her a theater. You know what I mean? He built her a theater. So they put on plays for people. She would sing, but we don't really know, was she any good? Right? I'm curious, right? Can she sing? Can she act? We saw a little snippet of acting. Um, I mean, it wasn't great, but it's hard to tell from that, right? So yeah, there's these things where it'd be like, oh, I mean, it would have been fascinating to get that insight, right? Because I mean, there's a bit where Alan's like, oh, she had this great quote, like she had this great saying, where it's just like, was it reality is for those with limited imagination. And it's just like, I mean, she didn't make that up, right? Other people made that up. But it's like, that's great. having an imagination, being able to create worlds and narrative, that's all fantastic. But yeah, it's just like, is she able to do these things? And then if she is, was there any thought of trying to be an actress, right? Trying to be a singer, trying to be, these other things, a playwright, a director, like those things I'm curious about as well. I think on the Fantasia website, it refers to this as a part fever dream, but that is very apt because it kind of is these just trippy. There's, you know, Shannon and her team put together these kind of vignettes, right? These little things that capture parts of their past and then kind of these odd things going on, the bit where people walking around with animal heads and just different things, right? So they really did nail this ethereal kind of sense, of the wonders that these two were able to see when they were together, you know like the way, I mean, it's kind of like, when you find that person that is your person and everything changes, it's like just being with that person, everything feels lighter, right? Everything feels brighter, shinier, you know like there are more possibilities. So I think we've all for the most part, we've all experienced that. And this, film does a really good job of visualizing what that was for Alan and Adrian. You know what I mean? I think it really does that. Now, you know what I mean? Like, you might not see the world like these two. You know what I mean? I mean, not many people probably do, because they did create this crazy thing. I mean, there is, as I said, there's so much art in this house. They would dress up every day. Alan talks about the first time when he went to Walmart, how he dressed, and then you see the real world, like realizing, be like, oh, things are different out here. You know what I mean? But yeah, we see it. We see it. And yeah, it would be interesting to get that extra insight. Be like, okay, why did you guys decide to do this? Right? Why create a 63-room house? Why fill it with art? Did you ever struggle for money? You know what I mean? Like, did you ever think, like, instead of just putting on plays for friends, you could actually, you know, do something with this, right? Take this to Hollywood, as it were. So that there are these questions that I kind of wish we had answers for. Kind of wish we had answers for. But in of itself, Adrianne and The Castle is very interesting. It's very interesting. It's very odd. There is a charm and elegance to it. But yeah, I am left wondering, pondering, you know, wishing there was a little bit more insight. You know what I mean? It's, interestingly enough, right? It is playing at Fantasia, obviously, right? On Saturday the 20th at 6:45 in the Cinema de Muse. There is no short film leading into this one, which is interesting because, I think for the most part, the films have the shorts, but this one doesn't. So that's huh, it's interesting, right? But yes, if you're in Montreal, this might be good for you. You might be interested, right? I think it kind of reminds me a little bit of I think it was like Electric Blue, like Life is a Lampshade. Life is a Lampshade, something like that. We looked at it part of Rumfest, remember a few years back. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of that one. Kind of reminds me of that. So if you enjoyed that, then I think Adrian and the Castle will be for you. So if you can't see it at Fantasia, I'm sure it'll be playing at other festivals. So keep an eye out on their web pages, right? On their socials. But yeah, Adrian and the Castle.